Hey everybody, this is Dr. Lillian Coley, and this is Keeping It Real with Dr. Lil. Today we're going to be talking about a couple lawsuits that are out there. We know that Fat Joe has just been sued, and he's named several parties in there, including Jay-Z with the Roc Nation, I should say, and among other things with the Rico. We're going to talk a little bit about Diddy stuff and this Rico thing. I think the Rico is coming out for everybody, y'all, because it's a little pieces here, little pieces there, little pieces is everywhere, right? So I know we got some RICO stuff in our case. Unfortunately, we had a judge who actually did some bad things and said stuff on record, right? But at the end of the day, every dog, so to speak, has their day, or every person. So we find right now there's a lot of stuff going on. So let's just get right to it. We're gonna look at the Fat Joe situation and look at the RICO and how these pieces are fitting together with other people. So I guess folk gonna say they don't know who Fat Joe is, right? So y'all, it's getting a little crazy. So I just want y'all to pay attention and keep praying. The power of prayer is doing this, exposing people, because you ain't gonna mock my God. He ain't gonna be mocked, everybody. Let's go right to what we need to share. I want to share this thing about Fat Joe because I think this is very, very, very important for us to talk about it and get it in our spirits, hearts, and minds because it's a big deal. So let's play this and let's see what Maury Murad Morelli is talking about in regard to the Fat Joe lawsuit and how it ties into Roc Nation and the RICO stuff. And then Roc Nation's got a lot of stuff going on all over the place. Are you hearing me? There's a lot of little stuff all over the place, right? The pieces are coming together. And I think the public, you and I, stay on it, pay attention, and be prayerful so that God will expose things and justice will be served for everybody, lottie dottie, and everybody, right? Come on, y'all. Let's play. Y'all might have missed it.
Joe's former hype man says in a new lawsuit that the rapper was basically, and he is just going straight into it, guys, and not wasting any time, but basically stating that the rapper was being intimate with those who were underage, specifically girls who are 15 and 16. But Joe is responding and he's furious, stating that the allegations are BS. Terrence T.A. Dixon has filed a lawsuit Thursday claiming that there were at least two minor females at Fat Joe's house or intimate with him, and that he basically fell in love with another. In the documents, Dixon's attorney Tyrone A. Blackburn claims a 16-year-old Dominican girl would perform forms of intimacy on Joe in exchange for cash, clothing, and cell phone bill payments. Dixon claims Joe started a relationship with a 15-year-old Caucasian girl after meeting at an overseas concert. He says Joe flew her to New York and Miami multiple times and paid for her to get a BBL because her body was adolescent and not fully formed. Dixon claims the girl is now married to a pro athlete. In the suit, Dixon claims Fat Joe was in love with a Latina he met when she was 15. He says Joe paid all the girl's bills, took her overseas for tours, put her up in a condo near where he lived with his wife in Florida, and contemplated leaving his own wife for her.
Dirty dog.
Lord have mercy. Dixon says Joe has an unhealthy and troubling fixation on underage individuals and raps about it in a song called She's My Mama. Joe's ex-hype man also says that Fat Joe coerced him into being intimate with women after concerts, sometimes in full view of other people, and says Joe underpaid him, denied him songwriting credits, and concealed royalties and back-end payments. So I guess this is why he's exposing him. Fat Joe's attorney, get this, Joe...
So I'm going to stop it right there because I just want to give y'all a tidbit on it. So y'all know my goddaughter Wanda Satterwhite was underage, and there's stuff with her that's really separate from Ramir but together. According to Wanda's affidavit, she says she had sex with an older man, and she identified him in her affidavit. Y'all know who he is. At the end of the day, when she said what she said in her affidavit, which is public, that was just part of the problem. Then she thought maybe she was pregnant by this person, and which it's a separate piece or issue. This whole Fat Joe thing, you see, this seems to be a MO or method of operation for a lot of these men, even before they got famous, where they are they're having sex with young girls. He said he might even follow one of them, and then he wanted to leave his wife. Now you had a whole wife and a family, but you out here doing this. But this is why everybody, we got to talk to our young people We got to teach them and preach. And now you want to ask me a question, somebody asked me a question, was I ever out there? The answer is no. I was not. I was one of the goody two shoes, so to speak. But I wasn't really a goody two shoes because God kept me. It was really God's grace. Let me put that out there. It was God's grace and mercy that did it. That's what I'm trying to say, y'all. In other words, yeah, God did keep me. I didn't have to exploit my body. I didn't have to use it for anything I had. I ain't got a cotton picker thing that God didn't give me. Everything I got, God gave me. Houses, cars, you name it. So, but my whole point is this is a method of operation for some people, and why we got to talk to our youth and young adults about getting your cell phone bill paid. Come on, somebody. Somebody else can pay for your bill. It ain't got to be a man who can do a lot more than that, but you're a minor. That's all he paying for. A cell phone? You got a young girl who can't afford a cell phone bill at 15, 16 years old because she around you? No, we need to make sure we talk to our young people and our young people get it, that God has a plan better for them in their lives. They don't have to sell themselves short. You don't have to be a side piece or a side chick or side ebb, whatever. You are somebody. And if somebody wants to have a relationship with you, both of y'all need to be up to age. I'm going to leave it at that, everybody. The next thing I wanted to talk about was how Roc Nation falls into his Fat Joe's complaint. Now, it already was about, in my opinion, about the young girls, because I believe Roc Nation or Jay-Z, all of them are into that, right? I do. And I have some concerns, or I have some allegations, if you will, as it relates to my goddaughter. That's how I kind of came to that conclusion, everybody. Didn't come to it on my head. There's some stuff out there, right? There's an affidavit out there. There's information out there. So these people, in my opinion, do a lot of this. And you got people trying to cover the cover up. The lawyers and the judges, I don't know if they're like that too. Some of them are a little perverting too. What it look like. Nonetheless, we ain't got to go down that road. Roc Nation, I wanted to parallel how they corresponded with Fat Joe, because Fat Joe was a manager and he did his music, and he just, in some cases, seemed kind of creepy. Just some cases. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying he a creepy person. It just seemed kind of creepy when it came down to those things. Nonetheless, what I'm trying to get at, everybody, is that Roc Nation or Jay-Z, well, he says he's Roc Nation. Roc Nation is him. He's Roc Nation, and Roc Nation is him. Therefore, the connection on this racketeering or RICO. RICO is an organized crime of people working together for a common cause that is not good. Ask me how I know. We've been through that in New Jersey, where there was a whole lot of that going on with a paternity case that turned into a fraud case concerning my godson, Ramir Sadoway. Y'all know that story? If not, Google my name. So therefore, the RICO stuff is kind of makes sense that Roc Nation is tied to Fat Joe. So I wanted to play that because I think I want you guys to see and hear that as well. Let me see if this is it, because I don't think that's it. Oh, that's Fat Joe. No, okay, this is it here. This is basically, if you're looking at it, how the complaint of this young man wrote, how they allege Roc Nation is a strategic facilitator and an aider of racketeering activity. Now, some things that happen to you that are not quite, or some things that are bad, let's just put it this way, they're bad and they shouldn't have happened to you. Some people could aid and be an embedding person to carry that out. Now, we are finding that some of the attorneys or law firms are into a part of this, what they call fraud, not fraud money. It's the money where it's dirty money. I can't think of the term right now, but there's some law firms that are created and they act like they got all these different sites everywhere and they got all these clients. No, you don't. But okay, you want to play the game and act like you're popping up stuff because you're really hiding money laundering. That's what I'm trying to say. You're hiding money laundering, and you are maybe a part of this racketeering. I'm talking about law firms right now. And you also could be a part of sex trafficking. There are some firms out there, according to people I know, because remember, my brother's a police officer, everybody. There are some people out there talking about some firms, legal firms, that are under scrutiny with the FBI. Pay attention, everybody. I want you to pay attention. God is going to blow this out. God's going to explode it because he has to. So here we find, I thought was interesting, 495, paragraph 495 in this complaint. I think it was 28 pages or 65. It was a lot of pages. Roc Nation was a strategic facilitator and an aid of racketeering activity. And according to this information, it says in 2017, Roc Nation LLC entered a management agreement with defendant Cartiniga and assumed exclusive control over his business affairs. From that point forward, Roc Nation functioned as defendant Cartusiga operational command center, overseeing all his touring, licensing, branding, music publishing, commercial track contracts, etc. 496. Upon information and belief, they believe that Roc Nation was aware and willfully blind to the defendant's Cartiniga's ongoing criminal conduct, including forced labor, financial fraud, retaliatory violence, and sex trafficking. Despite knowledge of multiple allegations and red flags, Roc Nation continued to facilitate this defendant's business interests, defend him in public, his public interest, and structured deals that directly enriched him and his enterprise. So I want you guys, as you can see, there's other things. They give other Roc Nation's racketeering conduct related activities all the way back to 2017. It talks about the different things that were violated, so forth and so on. And it all ties in to what this person was doing as it relates to Rico. And I think, everybody, that a lot of organizations and companies are going to start crumbling and blowing up. Why? Because they have been doing similar things as this. Although these are allegations, they got to get proven. We get it. You know that some of this stuff is true. I'm not saying for everybody, but some of the stuff is true, right? I only can go by what I'm reading, and I only can go by what I know from my own personal experience. I got a personal experience. I'm not talking about something no hearsay, y'all. I'm talking about a personal experience about saying, and I thought was interesting in 495 says Roc Nation failed to intervene, investigate, or sever ties from the defendant. They kept the business going, kept doing what they were doing, and it led to what it led to, which is where we are now, a mess. But the interesting thing is, I believe a lot of this ties into the Diddy stuff, because you have Roc Nation, you have the bad boys, you have the people they work with and work under, and then you have obviously this trial going on, and all these activities are very, very similar that people are closing their eyes to. If you think about Roc Nation as it relates to the other lawsuits, sex trafficking, money laundering, as it relates to the Cash App. Remember that, y'all? That Cash App lawsuit is still pending. It's still going on. And there's a lot of people on, including a Jay-Z and Roc Nation. So I'm saying this to say, for us, me and Ramir, we've been through some similar stuff, y'all. Not as nasty and dirty, but very, 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 very close. And this Rico and this racketeering, organized crime, and things that are going in, it appears that the FBI is finally moving in to do something. And I'm glad about it.